My idea is that I'm gonna post this on my YouTube page or channel, and anyway, I have really vivid dreams almost every night, often. So last night's dream, well, I had spent the whole night in the city or a city and partying, and this is a whole nother dream, but I'm not gonna talk about that. I had parked my car, but when I went out, I could all of a sudden next to me is my son Avery, who was about 12, but he appeared to be about 5. And I said, well, we gotta look for the car so we can get home. And so we proceeded to walk out of this huge high-rise building and across this almost empty parking lot. And I looked to my left and saw several cars, maybe a dozen, and none of them were my car. And for some reason I was drawn to cross this empty parking lot. And on the other side of the empty parking lot was like a cliff. It was like you parked your car, there was a little grass, and it was a rocky slope that went down to a creek. And it was probably about 20 feet high to the creek. Avery was with me. I said, come on, Avery. And all of a sudden, the weather changed and it was like a blizzard outside. The parking lot was covered with snow. Everything was snow. And for some reason, I was drawn to the edge of the parking lot, the cliff. So I said, okay, Avery. Anyway, so I just thought I would slide down this cliff because it was like a sleigh ride down the cliff. I jumped off the edge of the cliff, probably about a 65, 70-degree angle. I'm flying towards the bottom of this cliff, sleigh riding on my ass in the snow. And then I look down and I see that it's a river that's frozen, but on the edge of the river all the ice and stuff's bunched up, and immediately it came to my mind that, oh my god, that's liquid, you know. If I could land in the middle of the river, it'd be ice, I could walk on it, but if I crash here on the edge, I'm going under. Some reason I landed sort of off the edge about 10-15 feet, and immediately I realized that the ice was extremely fragile, that it really could not support me. I was on my hands and knees. I moved one knee and it cracked down into through the ice. And I moved another hand. And at this point, I knew I was barely. If I moved really harshly or hard, I was going to go under the ice. And then the next thing that hit my mind was, oh my God, Avery, my son. He's about ready to slide down this hill and follow me, and he's gonna drown. And I immediately looked over towards the edge where I just come off, and I looked over, and it appears that I'm about 100 feet out in the middle of the river. I'm floating on sitting atop a solid block of ice that's barely holding me up. And then I looked, and then the edge has disappeared, and now it's just water. If he was to slide down that creek, that hill, he would just slide into water. It was probably about 30 degrees out, I imagine, below freezing. And, I thought he was gonna die. So I start scurrying my way across the ice, trying to get, and I'm screaming, Avery, Avery, don't jump, stay there, Avery. And then all of a sudden I see the shadow of him sliding, because it's now nighttime. It's dark out. I see the shadow of him sliding down the side of the creek, and And then I just hear the plunge, and I know it's him that just landed in the water. It's 30 degrees out. He's gonna die. My adrenaline, like in my dream, I'm in a dream, immediately pumps, and I just start working my way as fast as I can towards the edge of the ice, and I don't even hesitate when I get to the edge of the ice. I immediately dive under the water, dive into the water, and I realize that since he's jumped in, he hasn't come back up yet. I'm waiting for him to come back up so I can go rescue him to see where he is. So he hasn't come back up. So what's going through my mind is, I can jump in this cold water. If he dies, I die. We both die. I'm perfectly happy with that. If he dies, I want to die with him. That's it. If I can save both of us, that's fine. If I can't, I'm dying with him. So I just dive under the water a few times looking for him, and I realize I can't reach the bottom of this deep water, and instantaneously I'm out of the water and up in the parking lot, and I run to the high rise, and right there is a little coffee shop, and I run in. There's a Jamaican guy, and he's like, "What can I help you, sir?" And I'm like, we need divers. We need divers. The water's freezing. It's really cold out. My son, he's fallen in the water. We can only get divers in here to get him out. I've heard of people surviving. Blah, 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 blah. He's like, get divers. Help me, help me, help me, help me. And then the next thing I know, I'm sort of out of my body and above the whole entire scene. I can see it like as if you flew to the top of a Call of Duty map and you look down to the middle of it. I see the high rise from 1,000 feet in the air. I see the parking lot. And I look and I see the ice in the middle of the river, the river bank that he slid down and fell into. And I know he's under there, that water at the bottom, dead. And then the next thing you know it, I'm in my bedroom in a house that I don't own, but apparently it's my bedroom. It's like a hotel room, and my daughter comes walking through the door. And no, I'm laying in my bed, and a little tiny child comes crawling onto my bed, and I realize that it's my granddaughter, Juliana, who is about 2 years old. And I realize, and I think, Adriana's here, and she's here to, and oh, I gotta wake up, and oh, cute little Juliana, and then I immediately realize that Avery is dead, which I'm associating with Sienna, my other granddaughter, who is Adriana's daughter. I know this is hard to. Well, if you think about it, you might be able to figure it out. But so I start bawling, crying, saying, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Avery's dead, Avery's dead." She starts bawling, crying. I am horrendously bawling, crying. I cannot stop. It's a relentless 10, 15 minutes of crying, bawling. And then, boom, I'm back 1,000 feet up in the air looking down at the scene. And the divers are dunking down into the water. There's about 7 or 8 of them. They're bobbing up and down, diving down, and then coming up to catch their breath. And I'm thinking, well, why do they need to do that? They're supposed to be scuba divers. And then all of a sudden the river, and then all of a sudden I'm back to the crying scene, and I cannot stop crying. So I figured if my grandchild or my son was ever to die, I may cry for days straight. The feeling, I felt the whole feeling of what it would be like to lose your own child, your grandchild. It was just horrendously hard, but yet horrendously releasing to keep crying and crying. And then all of a sudden I'm 1,000 feet back up in here, and I look down and I see that the river is moving really fast, and I see the divers being swept down, and I see them quick. And this time they got scuba gear, and I see them quick, like dive to the bottom. And at this point, I'm realizing that I need to wake up. Like, this is really scary. So, I wake myself up. I wake up out of bed. That's it. It's over. That's the dream.